After Volume 12, the second-year battle is officially over. With 14 volumes and another one as a closure, the second-year arc has been a long journey. Some readers say it's a great journey, while more readers say it's not as good as the first-year arc. While the second-year arc has a lot of interesting and exciting moments, I do believe the second-year arc is not as good as the first one. There are a few reasons, such as an interesting exam and a disappointing antagonist. Let me explain them one by one. First, too many character. Adding more character as the story progresses is something inevitable to move further. However, too many characters mean less time, and this is the problem with the second-year arc. More character, less screen time, and not enough reason to remember them. In Volume 1, we got introduced to 6 new students, some of whom were White Room students who had a mission to expel ayanokoji. At first, each of them had their own moment, but as the story progressed, only Ichika and Tsubasa who kept getting screen time, while the rest of them were left forgotten. After conflict with first-year students resolved, more and more characters from another class got introduced. Each of them has their own problem and personality to put into the story. Tokido with his dislike toward Ryuen, Watanabe with his one-sided crush, Yamamura with her lack of presence, and so on. The problem is, they were introduced and then left forgotten because the core character still needs a lot of screen time to push the story forward. They exist, but they just exist without any relevance to any plot. Sometimes I feel like they were only introduced because Kinugasa ran out of character to put in a cover illustration. And the worst of all is that most of the characters somehow develop a feeling toward ayanokoji. It's common knowledge that female characters get more illustrations than male characters, so their presence feels like fan service or bait for the ayanokoji harem plot. It's bad because it usually ends up nowhere. 2. Less memorable antagonist. There are 2 main antagonists in the first-year arc, Ryuen and Sakayanagi. Ryuen is a very memorable antagonist with his way of using violence and intimidation. We already saw how heartless and dangerous he is since he tried to expel Sudo in Volume 2, but Ryuen proved that he is not only evil, but also smart and cunning with his out-of-the-box method to attain victory in Volume 3. Thus, he engraved his presence inside the reader's mind. Sakayanagi is also a memorable antagonist, not only because of her disability but also because of her merciless strategy and brilliant mind. The way she plays with Hanami shows us how she considers everyone except ayanokoji as a lesser being, and she has the ability to back it up. Thus, she attains superior presence inside the reader's mind. They are great, and the second-year arc antagonists must suffer in their shadow. Tsukishiro, Yagami, and Nagumo, they lack in comparison when it comes to presence. Tsukishiro started as a promising antagonist with his action to play with the exam outcome, showing how much authority he had. Sadly, he didn't get any notable screen time until his final action, which was to force ayanokoji's expulsion with violence. His final action somehow feels forced and not interesting at all, because Classroom Elite is not an action novel. After that he just left and never returned. Yagami also starts as a promising antagonist, considering he manages to hide himself until the middle of the year, and like the other antagonists, Yagami chose not to confront ayanokoji directly. Instead, he uses other people such as Tsubasa and Kushida. He tries to manipulate others, but every single person he uses does not stand a chance against ayanokoji. Instead of fighting with his own arm, he chose to send someone who was way weaker than him. That's why his plans always fail. At the end, he left the school. The ironic thing is that he was defeated by the people that ayanokoji controlled, without even ayanokoji confront him directly. And then there is Nagumo. Nagumo is totally the biggest disappointment in the second-year arc. His role as the big boss has already been set up since the first year when Harukita Manabu entrusted ayanokoji to stop Nagumo. However, their battle kept getting delayed and ended up never happen. Their first collision happened in the island exam, where Nagumo got one-punched by ayanokoji, resulting in his failure to get first place. Nagumo was so determined to have a fight with ayanokoji, but ayanokoji never took him seriously. In Volume 6, ayanokoji refuses to have a match against Nagumo. In Volume 9, they have their bet cancelled because Hanami forfeited the student council election. And then they somehow have their own battle in volume 11, which left many readers frustrated. Not only ayanokoji not interested, but the chance itself never comes. I don't know why Kinugasa hypes him so much to be Horikita Manabu equal, just to treat him like a bonus game. I like Nagumo and his ideal. His graduation will be the most wasted potential in this series.
3.
Less exciting exam. Special exam on second year is quite good. I'm not going to say it's bad, but some of them are really forgettable. The second year special exam started with a paper shuffle between years, which I personally enjoy and consider a good start. After that, we got the biggest special exam, which took 3 volumes to end. After all that build-up with so many parties involved, this exam somehow ended up not being so satisfying. Not bad, but clearly not the greatest outcome that readers hope for. In that exam, Nagumo got clowned, Tsukishiro got down without much effort, and we don't even get to see much action from Yagami. There are also some bad exams, like the mixed training camp that feels more like recreation, and the final exam, which only focused on 3 students per class. But the most disappointing exam happened in Volume 9, where we got our first off-screen special exam. Special exam is special because it's important, but that one is not important enough to write for. But second year also has some really good and nerve-wracking exams, such as the unanimous vote exam. The way it builds up to Kushida's expulsion but turns into something completely unexpected is still one of the best moments in the series. We also have a cultural festival where we can see the fresh side of school life. Thanks to that, we got an amazing Saichan-made illustration.
4. Too much bait.
One last thing I want to complain about is how Kinugasa builds up such an interesting plot but completely forgets about it later. Ichika vs Sakayanagi, Ryuen vs Utomiya, and Hosen Revenge. Is there anyone still remembering this interesting matchup that was mentioned after the Allen exam? Not only did Kinugasa forget about these builds, but some other builds also got disappointing conclusions, such as ayanokoji vs Nagumo and Tsukishiro. Kinugasa threw a bait, left the volume with a cliffhanger to attract readers, but failed to give us what we wanted. He baited us with Kushida expulsion, but expelled Sakura instead. He baited us with Haruka revenge, just to make her forgive everything into volumes. He baits us with Kanzaki revolution, just to make him act like a clown. If this keeps happening, maybe ayanokoji changing classes will also never happen. Ayanokoji will not break up with Kei, and Sakayanagi will not leave the school. As a conclusion, the second year arc is not as good as the first, but it's not as bad as haters said. Maybe Kinugasa needs some rest to think about what he wants to write for the third year. He cannot do anything about how he wasted Nagumo character, but it's not too late for the others. Take a break and take some rest. Kinugasa still has a third year arc to tidy up everything that went wrong in the second year. From the bottom of my heart, I will always pray for his health.